Well, hello there everybody and welcome back to another episode of An Ecologist Plays, where we talk about nature while playing games. My name is Will, I'm an ecologist by training, and we are back in Nightingale. May not be quite obvious from where we are. There we go, now we can probably see this is Nightingale indeed. And it is nighttime at the moment and we've got fireflies all around our base, which is absolutely stunning. So let me just put away everything and then we can have a good look at them flying around. So these are most likely the males flying around, trying to entice females to flash back at them so that they can actually reproduce. This is a way for them to communicate with one another. And of course the flashing here is produced through bioluminescence, which is the process of an organism producing light. And this is due to a chemical reaction within the body of the little fireflies, within their abdomens, where there is luciferin, which is a compound that is broken down by luciferase, and through that chemical reaction, light is produced. And only the males will be flying around. Females generally, of most species at least, are not able to fly. They will be on the ground here. They are flightless and they resemble the glowworms, the larvae of the fireflies. And absolutely stunning creatures. Now the reason we have got them here also is because this is a forested environment. There's a little wetland area here. They do tend to love these environments. The larvae are predatory. They feed on snails and slugs. So they are absolutely awesome creatures to have in your garden, and we are fortunate to have them around our little cottage over here as well. Especially considering that we've got a whole bunch of little plants growing here, and while we don't want snails and slugs eating them. So the fireflies here, really great to have flying around our house. Now the thing is that they are going extinct all around the world, and I did a video on that a while back in Empire of the Ants. But basically artificial light and the clearing of leaves in gardens have had a very detrimental effect on them. And so that's why we at our garden, we don't rake up the leaves, we leave it exactly where it lies, and we also don't have artificial light outside our house either. And we're hoping that that at least helps them. We have found a firefly recently around our house, so they are still around, but in very low numbers. And unfortunately everyone around us still have their lights on at night, and yeah, they're raking up the leaves. So we are trying to be a little oasis in the urban landscape. Anyway, we'll talk about fireflies again, I'm sure. But for now, let's quickly make purity potion, because that is something we do need to make in order to go cure the infection in Sylvan's Cradle. And then I also want to make some nice clothes. And I should have everything ready to do that. We're going to make the gaitered boots here. And we're going to go with the best things we possibly can. Let's go for extra health and health regen. Let's make some brass buttons. You know, have a whole bunch of extra stuff happening. Range damage amongst other things. That's what we're also going to go for. And basically we're going for as much range damage as we possibly can. And also as much stamina and as much health and stamina regen as we possibly can. And then lastly, we are going to make a rifle as well. So we're going to go for one that does as much range damage as possible, except for the action, which has a nice 6% extra critical damage instead of extra range damage. So brass barrel, jabberwock, leather, supplewood stock, and bronze action. And let's craft that. Now this is going to replace our longbow. Of course, we've got to apply some extra charms, so let's apply the charm of the sniper to the rifle here. And of course, we'll also say goodbye to this getup of ours, and say hello to the new outfit. Well, that's one way of doing things, I guess. We're also just applying all kinds of charms on all kinds of things. We've got Charm of Essence on the pants, we've got Charm of the Wanderer on our boots, we've got the Charm of Skinning on our shirt, Charm of the Wind on our jacket, Charm of Invigoration on our hat. Alright, and now it's morning, and let's actually head on over to Sylvan's Cradle. And now that we're here, let's chat about fungal infections, because, well, this is almost certainly some kind of fungal infection. We can see all kinds of weird things happening. For example, at the top there, we see what is known as a burl or a burr. That's basically uncontrolled xylem, so the inside of the stem, the wood, that has got uncontrolled growth there, and it's most likely, in this case, caused by a fungus. Yes, burrs can be caused by other things as well. It can be caused by viruses, and the reason I think this is a fungus is because, well, we've got this ripping effect happening all along here, and it really resembles canker as well, which is in this case likely caused by a fungus. And additionally, we also have got the mission to do the corrupted cave over there, which is a damp cave where mushrooms thrive. And the fact that it is a corrupted cave tells me there's some kind of fungal corruption, infection, something happening there. So we are going to go there now, and then we'll talk a bit more about fungi and how it's not always good, the fungi, but it can also kill off a whole bunch of trees, like we are seeing here in Sylvan's Cradle. But as we are making our way there, and I think we're more or less heading in the right direction. I think we should head a little bit more to that direction. But as we're heading there, in the Hobbit movie, in the first Hobbit movie, a lot of people have got a lot of problems with the Hobbit movies, yes, but I quite enjoyed it. But there was one thing in particular that I took offense at, and that is Radagast saying that the fungi that are present in Mirkwood are bad. Now, that's a sign of something bad happening. And fungi are not a sign of something bad happening, depending on the species. Some, yes, but the majority of fungi are really good and necessary for proper ecosystem functioning. They are there to break down organic matter. That is what they do. Usually, dead organic matter. So usually a branch breaks off or a tree dies, then the fungi will break it down. And that is its role in the environment. Without the fungi and without bacteria and all kinds of other things breaking down the organic matter, well, we would all be knee-deep. Oh, hello there, Bori. No. We are just going to shoot you like that. Oh, this is apparently a single-shot rifle. Oh, okay. I thought we had 4 shots. We've got 1 shot. Okay, good to know. But yeah, without the decomposers, we would all be knee-deep in dead plant matter, which is, not great. So I did take offense at fungi being characterized as being a sign of evil, a sign of something going wrong. Rotting is not bad, okay? It depends on the rot. Like if your leg is rotting, yeah, that's bad. But in nature, things rotting down is good. But not all fungi are just simple saprotrophs or decomposers. Some are parasitic. And it is quite possible that what we are looking at here is a parasitic fungus. Because yes, a lot of fungi will have mutualistic relationships with trees. They are those mycorrhizae that I talked about in the Enshrouded episode of Friday. But some species are parasitic. They infect living tissue, and when they do that, they can in fact cause the death of the tree. In some cases, what you have are, for example, the fungus that is spread by the shot-hole borer beetle, that can lead to its death. Alright, but here we've got the corrupted mushroom. So let's quickly talk about that before we head on over, as Percy is probably going to die due to standing in this corrupted fungus here. So all around the forest, we've got trees that most likely have mycorrhizal interactions. 90% or more of species of plants overall on Earth have got mutualistic relationships with fungi, with mycorrhizae. And that means that the fungus will take up nutrients and actually give it to the tree. Additionally, the mycorrhizae may strengthen the immune system of the trees as well. In turn, as the tree photosynthesizes, they will pass sugars to the fungi, because the fungi can't photosynthesize. So it's a very nice mutualistic relationship. Both parties benefit. There are, however, some fungi that also infect other fungi. And it therefore is possible that this corrupted mushroom is a different fungus species that has now infected the mycorrhizal fungi. And the fact that the mycorrhizae are connected all over the forest here, forming part of what we call a mycorrhizal network, it means that this corrupted mushroom, likely from somewhere else, has been able to spread all over the forest using this mycorrhizal network as a way to travel from point A to point B to point C to infect everything they possibly can. So let's try to put a stop to that by pouring the purity potion on the fungus here. And hopefully this will kind of stop most of the infection. Let's hope it does. As while we are also now here, just quickly head on through to this area over here for a quest we have for our Sylvan friend, for Puck. We need to destroy this glyph over here. I'm not going to betray his trust by paying attention to the glyph. I'm just going to shatter the glyph. Consequences be damned. And then we are just going to head to the outside world a bit again. Okay, so just quickly chatted to Puck here, who was thankful for us destroying the glyph. It seems that it's possible that the infection here is actually due to a broken contract with the Fae. And I think that the Fae most likely then, as a result of a broken contract, they released the fungus, the parasitic fungus, into this world brought it from elsewhere because it seems as though very few of the trees around here are actually resistant to that parasitic fungus attacking the mycorrhizae. So they introduced the species to an area where it doesn't belong, and it is now spreading all over the place. Now, a lot of these trees, yes, they've got this infection, but a lot of the other trees here, they seem fine, except for the fact that they don't have any leaves. And it's possible that these trees are also still infected with some kind of pathogen, perhaps a different pathogen to the one that we are looking at on these corrupted trees here. These trees, almost to me at least, resemble trees that have had dieback of their leaves. And that to me points to, for example, Dutch elm disease, which is also a fungal disease. And it's called Dutch elm disease not because it originated from the Netherlands, but because it was first described in the Netherlands, having arrived there most likely from Asia, where it is indigenous, and then spreading all over the world, affecting elm trees in Europe, affecting elm trees in North America, New Zealand, all over the show. Wild ones as well as cultivated elm trees are infected with it. Similar to how the American chestnuts were also almost wiped out, or massive parts of their forests were wiped out by fungi, by the chestnut blight that arrived from Asia as well, where it wasn't indigenous to America, to the US, and the trees there had no resistance to it. And then once it took hold, it just spread all over the place. And in the case of the American chestnut, the chestnut blight also clogged up the xylem, as we just... Oh, hello there. Oh dear, okay. We drew the attention of the bear over there. And Percy over here is just going to finish him off. I just shot at the essences and then accidentally drew the bear's attention. Sorry, bear. Okay, I don't have time to chase after the essences, so I just, whack them from afar. But as I was saying with the American chestnuts, the xylem gets clogged up and then the tree performs very poorly and eventually dies, or dies back completely. And the way it works in elm trees, in the Dutch elm disease, is that the tree itself tries to prevent the fungus from actually spreading further by blocking its own xylem tissue. Very similar effect as we have with the American chestnuts, but in this case it's done by the tree itself in an attempt to prevent the spread of the fungus. And then of course it again shuts off its own water supply and eventually it dies. Because while water is transported in the xylem, and if you block your own xylem, you can't have water being transported. And I think, yeah, we have come across an infection. There is also a bear trying to attack the bound that is spawning here. We are just going to also attack the bound as they come in. And I think we're going to go for the high ground. Let's just see, where's the heart? The heart is right there. Should be able to just shoot that like that. That should be it. Then we just have to deal with the charges coming for us. And that knight over there. Which is no more. So yes, in essence, what I think happened here in Sylvan's Cradle is that there was some kind of breach of a contract. The Fae introduced a species from a different realm, a fungus species, a parasitic fungus species, introduced it from a different realm. It then infected the mycorrhizae over here, and then from there it spread all over the show, affecting all the trees in the area, and as a result, yeah, the forests over here have been largely wiped out. And this is very similar to what we observe on Earth as well, whenever there are exotic species introduced into areas where they don't belong. Like, for example, we have the polyphagous shothole borer beetle in South Africa. That is a species of weevil that originates also from Asia, doesn't naturally occur in South Africa, and what it does is it is a fungus farmer. It actually grows certain fungi as well. In a mutualistic relationship, it eats the fungus that it grows. But that fungus also clogs up and we're just going to get the field notes over here. That fungus also clogs up the xylem of the trees that it infects. As we're just going to have a whole bunch of bound coming for us now. We're just going to go for the old bow here, for the normal short bow here. Much faster way to actually kill everything here. And then we're just going to shoot this guy with our rifle. And close range, boom for that. And then we can just head down here, press a whole bunch of glyphs, And pressing these glyphs should open up this area over here, which has a carnoot inside. Right, so here we've got the carnoot. I call them the spirit deer because, well, they are obviously spirit creatures, especially if you're looking at the one outside here. But, I mean, look at this. This has got antlers very much like a deer. And in fact, the skull here as well really resembles, well, I was about to say resembles a deer, but it has got some extra toothy projections in the front there as well. Very little bit different from the typical deer that we have running around Earth. But this one seems to also have some kind of mutualistic relationship with plants, with a whole bunch of little shaggy plants, almost said mosses, but there are flowers on there, so that's definitely a typical flowering plant. Almost looks daisy, looks like an asteraceae plant, so it looks like a daisy that's growing on its back. It's possible that the daisies over here have got roots growing into the carnoot. We call them haustoria if they're growing into a different creature, generally growing into different plants. You'll have haustoria and they then tap into the xylem and phloem of the plant. In this case, it's possible that it's just maybe just growing on top of the carnoot rather than actually growing into the carnoot. And then in the process, then it has a place to attach, so the daisy has a place to grow. Additionally, I think the carnoot here most likely would prefer staying in the sun. And being in the sun then means that the daisy will always have access to sunlight, so it can photosynthesize quite nicely. So the daisy gets a place to attach, and I think the carnoot, I don't know, maybe it just wants to look pretty, but also probably it's a form of camouflage. Now, this is a big creature. I don't know what they need to be camouflaged from. Maybe the Fae, maybe us as humans, maybe there's a bigger, badder creature where it also occurs. So maybe there's a predator in other realms that will be able to take down the carnoot. I don't know. So it may be a form of camouflage. Similar to how we have algae growing on the back of sloths. Well, that's a type of camouflage, kind of. Works well except against harpy eagles and jaguars sometimes as well, which will still be able to find the sloth and then take them out. But it's a form of camouflage. Alright, we're just going to try to also cure the carnoot here. It's not doing much better, but it is slightly better. Alright. Yay. Alright, now we did get a synchronous lotus from that chest over there. And this means we can make a portal as well. We can learn that recipe for free now. Or we got it. We now have got that recipe. So now we can make a crude portal to travel to all kinds of realms from our normal abeyance realm. For now though, we are just going to travel to the... Oh, there's someone chopping trees there, or something destroying trees. We're just going to travel to the site of power, which should now be open for us. We should be able to cure the one guy that is sick there, and then also we should be able to enter into the site of power. Now do let me know in the comments whether you'd like to see me do that during an episode, or whether I should just do that off screen and then we just carry on with the next realm that we visit. Also, please feel free to pop down in the comments anything you'd like to see me do overall in this series as well, anything you'd like me to chat about. We are going to call it a day here though, everybody, so thank you very much for joining me on a little adventure here. Hope you had fun. I had a lot of fun talking about fungi and how they will have positive and negative impacts depending on the species and depending on the ecosystem. And we will be back next time to carry on where we left off here. Until then, everybody, stay safe. I'll see you all soon. Cheers!